Yes, okay. Thank you. Okay, the Browngirlyogatribe Sangha. Let me move this little chat box. Okay, first and foremost, I definitely want to welcome our speakers, okay? Oh, wait. Sorry, y'all. This is not the one I wanted to share. I think this is the one. Let me see. No. Okay, hopefully this is it. If not, yes, this is it. All right, so first we're gonna go over the order of sequence, okay? So we're gonna have an introduction of the speakers, and then I'm going to explain to you what is a Sangha and why it's so important. And then we're gonna move into the Kirtan concert, okay? So during the Kirtan, we're basically going to be singing mantras. You do not have to sing, but it is recommended because you're gonna feel good. Right after we end the Kirtan concert, we're going to move into silence. So please don't feel alarmed if you don't hear anything, okay? Because I just want you to sit with the Kirtan on your heart, okay? So it'll be best to try to sit as still as possible. And then following that silent meditation, you're going to hear 3 bells from the song bowl, and then we're going to move into the lecture, okay? And then to close out, we're going to end with the Om mantra, Om Shanti Shanti. Okay. So our speakers, first off, we have Angela Dharma Fears, which is our Kirtan singer. Angela, would you like to say hello?
Hello, everybody. I'm so blessed and honored to be here and joining in the community for our first Sangha 2021. Bring it.
Oh, you're a little low, sister.
Oh, okay. So 2021, bring it. How is that? Is that better?
Yes, that's better.
Thank you. Great. So so thank you. I'm honored to be here and honored to be with the tribe, christening our 2021 Sangha. Still a bit low. Okay, well, I will get on that. Change that right now.
Thank you, sister. Thank you so much. And I'm so happy you're here as well. The first Kirtan concert you did for us was just absolutely out of this world. So I can't wait for today's concert. And then we have our lecture speaker, Brother Adissa. He's actually from my hometown, Virginia Beach, Virginia. So it is quite interesting that we got connected through, I think it was my friend Mark. So I'm so happy to have you here, and I'm so happy that you have been on this journey for so long, and to bring your knowledge to us is just, it's a blessing. So please feel free to say hi, brother.
Hello, everybody. My name is Adissa Dhamma. I'm very, very happy and pleased to be able to, assist you guys with some Dhamma today. It's going to be a great Dhamma talk today. I'm looking forward to it. It's a perfect way to start out 2021, man. So very excited. Wonderful. Could you hear me?
Yes. Okay, thank
cool.
you, brother.
Sure. Yeah, okay.
Yes, thank you and welcome. I just think that maybe my computer is a little low. But thank you.
Oh, sure.
All right, now, what is a Sangha? Let me move this chat over. So Thich Nhat Hanh explains that Sangha is more than a community. It's a deep spiritual practice. A Sangha is a community of friends practicing the Dharma together in order to bring about and to maintain awareness. The essence of a Sangha is awareness, understanding, acceptance, harmony, and love. Friends on the path, living spiritual communities. That's from the book by Thich Nhat Hanh, excuse me. Now, why is it important to be a part of a Sangha? Without being in a Sangha, without being supported by a group of friends who are motivated by the same ideal and practice, we cannot go far. If we do not have a supportive Sangha, we may not be getting the kind of support we need for our practice, that we need to nourish our bodhicitta, the strong desire to cultivate love and understanding in ourselves. Sometimes we call it beginner's mind. The mind of a beginner is always very beautiful, very strong. In a good and healthy Sangha, there is encouragement for our beginner's mind, for our bodhicitta. So the Sangha is the soil and where we are the seed. No matter how beautiful, how vigorous our seed is, if the soil does not provide us with vitality, our seed will die. So the Sangha is basically here to support you on your journey, okay? We're here to offer love, support, acceptance, and to share. Okay, so how is the Sangha going to help you on your spiritual journey? The presence of a Sangha is a wonderful opportunity to allow the collective energy of the Sangha to penetrate into our body and consciousness. We profit a lot from that collective energy. We can entrust ourselves to the Sangha because the Sangha is practicing, and the collective energy of mindfulness is strong. Although we can rely on the energy of mindfulness that is generated by our personal practice, sometimes it's not enough. But if you know how to use that energy of mindfulness in order to receive the collective energy of the Sangha, you will have a powerful source of energy for your transformation and healing. Your body, your consciousness, and your environment are like a garden. There may be a few trees and bushes that are dying, and you may feel overwhelmed by anguish and suffering at the sight of that. You may be unaware that there are still many trees in your garden that are solid, vigorous, and beautiful. When members of your Sangha come into your garden, they can help you see that you have a lot of beautiful trees and you can enjoy the things that have not gone wrong within your landscape. That is the role that Sangha can play. Many people in the Sangha are capable of enjoying a beautiful sunset or a cup of tea. They dwell firmly in the present moment, not allowing worries or regrets to spoil the present moment. Sitting close to these people, walking close to these people, you can profit from their energy and restore your balance. When their energy of mindfulness is combined with yours, you will be able to touch beauty and happiness. So I know this may sound, like a very physical experience, but of course, because of COVID and because many of us are all around the world, this is best done virtually. But I pray and hope that you still feel that closeness, okay? In the Sangha, you are doing a service, not only to yourself, but your community. You're taken away from the anger, the sadness, and the fear. and contributing peace, love, and compassion. So you being here right now says a lot, a whole lot. So please definitely congratulate yourselves on that. And I thank you. And we're going to move into the kirtan. Unless anyone has anything they want to share before we move forward, let me stop sharing my screen.
All right. How's this for sound?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
You can hear me now? Okay, so I wasn't sure. Let's see if I'm hoping the harmonium will come in. So let's double check these levels.
Okay.
Are you getting any harmonium?
Yeah.
Is it coming through?
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, again, welcome everybody. My name is Angela Dharma Fears, and I'm just so honored to be a part of the yoga tribe that Jawa has put together, so thank you so much. So this blessed our first Saturday of 2021 and our first kirtan. So we can look at kirtan as a concert. It's a concert of you, chanting to yourself, connecting with the divine. So in the beginning, there was sound, and we will resonate with our own sounds. So I do encourage you to make sounds and harmonize with yourself. So we're going to be doing 4 chants, if you will. 2 super easy, super easy. I'm going to lead the 3rd chant, and you can listen and receive the chant. And then the 4th chant, you can create your chant. So I will take you through the options of you harmonizing with yourself for a wonderful, harmonic, and love-filled 2021 for us all, right? Because as a Sangha, if we root ourselves and ground ourselves in our community, and with that one love, that knowing, however it expresses for you, with that base for all of us, right? We can then plant our own seeds and we can water it and watch it grow over this next year together. All right, so find a comfortable sit, right? So you can move a little bit left and right from your sits bones and sit tall if you can. And if you want to lie down for this, right? If you just have already done enough in your morning and you just want to lie down and chant and receive the sounds, please, feel free to do that. But in aligned spine, have your spine aligned. So our first chant that we'll do is M, 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 M. And you're going to be humming to yourself, for yourself. So we're going to begin with that, and I'll just provide a drone. yogis, as you sit, you can apply the root lock, Uddiyana Bandha, and chin lock. So you're sitting and you are vibrating. Slight smile on your face. One more. So as we conclude each round of sound, of song, of kirtan, we take a moment to receive it, to hear it. You can think of it as a parenthesis around the sound. So apply that parenthesis and allow it to settle into you. So chanting and kirtan is a bhakti yoga practice, and it's a practice that connects our heart and our mind. Heart and our mind deep into our soul, into our being. So after using that sound of to harmonize within ourselves, let's go to our second. And you are free to use this as your own practice before your meditation, before your movement practice, to start your day. So we're going to move into a great sound, a nice healing sound. So this sound is ah. So you can picture it in your mind as A-H. Ah. And just like the we're going to repeat the ah sound. And we're going to use the same notes, so it shouldn't be too far for you. Oh, let me change this harmonium, this wonderful instrument. What's happening here? Let's go with the flow.
My dear, it just got a little low again.
Lower again. How's this? Is this a little better?
A little bit.
How's that?
It's a little better.
A little better. Okay. Let me see if I can really come in. Is the harmonium coming through?
Yeah, we can hear the harmonium.
Okay, great. I will make sure I stay closer to the mic and make sure that we get the harmonium sound through. I'm going to take a breath and we'll start with our ahs. Here we go. Good. Just work through all the sounds that come through. And if it feels funny, if it feels strange, just feel those feelings and make your sounds. Your home, in your space. You're releasing tension, just releasing any negative energies. Good. Great. Beautiful. Take a breath and just sit. If you can, place both hands at your lower belly. Good, and breathe into your lower belly. Good. Good. Just let your eyes close. Take a breath. Good. So we did 2 offerings opening to help us harmonize with ourselves and release tensions. So now, as you sit, just receive this chant.
How long do you think we're gonna live here?
All right. So yeah, as you can, so just sit to receive this chant. This is our guru chant. So the guru chant ignites the guru in you. It can connect you to your teacher. It'll connect you to the teachings. So as we come together in Sangha, we are here, right, to, as our own selves, to study the teachings. So we give thanks for the teachings. The teachings can come through a teacher, or the song can be our teacher. The mantra can be our teacher. So we're going to ignite that in each of us. So for those who know the guru chant, we are going to offer the guru chant now. So this is your time to align with this chant. So again, if it's your first time, just receive this chant, and we'll have plenty of time over this year to share the lyrics. So sitting tall and breathing in. Breathing out. Breathe in fully and completely with ease from the belly. Put your efforts into breathing out. Allow your eyes to close. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu. All right, about that. Start again. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu. There's a ghost note wanting to play. I think we've been able to call the spirit in here. So let me make sure that ghost note does not come through. So let's give thanks. Ghost notes coming through. So we'll take all these signs as they're being shown to us. There it is. All right. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshvara, Guru sakshat parabrahma tasmai shri gurave namaha. Sitting fully and completely. So receiving the symbols and the messages as they come in. Just checking the audio levels there. All right. So we receive the mantra and receive this as meditation. So as we receive this one mantra, we'll go through the lines. Guru Brahma, right? So thanking all that is. All that is our teacher. Guru Vishnu, let's give thanks to the cosmic universe. The cosmic universe. Guru Devo Maheshvara, right? We bow to our own individual spiritual sources that illuminate our own souls. Right? Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshvara. Guru Sakshat Parabrahman, right? Giving thanks for the greatness that all that is. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I bow and I give thanks. And I give thanks for all the teachings and all the forms. So as a Sangha coming together, that can be a potent spirit for us to honor that and to take that in for ourselves. So again, when we hear the word guru and we can think of another person outside of ourselves, when I'm inviting you to take it into your being, in your connection to nature, your connection to source, and our connection to community. So our community and our experiences through and with this community is our teacher. So we give thanks. So as we move from giving thanks for ourselves, let's move into this next chant and seeing that reflection. And this reflection comes through in one of the virtues in Ayurveda that we can work on as we work on our emotional health and our emotional strength and our emotional intelligence, right? And that feeling and that heart-mind sense is love. So we're going to be grounding ourselves in love. So I want to be sure as we move through this, right? This is where you can create your chant here. You can create your chant because you're in your own homes, in your own spaces, and we have the mics off. So in a general kirtan, a kirtan is not, and this is where it's different than a concert. So a concert is someone singing towards you and you receive the sounds, and you are welcome to do that. But in a kirtan is we co-create. So as I offer a line and an opening, you then reflect it back to me. And I hear you receive it and reflect it back to me. So a kirtan is two ways, it's a dance. So there's the offering from the musicians and the audience reflects it back. So we definitely will look forward to the retreats and our time together when we will be in community and we can do this. But for now, we'll do it virtually. So in your home, you can, as I sing a line, then you sing a line. I sing, then you sing. So I will sing twice to really, it's your first time, so you have the rhythm of it. So that's a rhythm to the kirtan. So I'm going to give you a choice in your lines that you sing. Okay? So we're going to start with one love. So one love. One love. Okay? The second line is your choice. So where you are in your heart, you can go with when will I find? When will I find? For those of you who feel that love opening into the new year and you're feeling that love, let's give thanks. I graced to know. I am graced to know. And then we'll all come back together with one love. One love. Okay? So let's start there with that section. All right? So one love. One love. Okay? Let's start there. One love. 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 Part two. I'm going to go to the grace to know. I'm grace to know. I'm grace to know. I'm grace to know. Back to one love. One love. One love. One love. One love. I'm grace to know. I'm grace to know. I'm grace to know. Two more times. I'm graced to know. I'm graced to know. Let's go back to one love. One love. One love. I'm graced to know. I'm graced to know. Back to the one love. One love. One love. One love. We're going to go back to now just to let's hold space for those who are looking for that one love. So when will I know? When will I know? So just honor that time when you weren't seated in your one love. When will I know? When will I know? Let's answer that for them. Right now, right now, right now, right now. Let's go back to one love, one love. Let's let your eyes close here for a minute if you can. We're going to sit comfortably and quietly. Breathing in through the nostrils and out through the mouth. Yeah, and if you're moving, just let your body move. It's okay. Just breathing in and breathing into that space where you felt the sound and your experience of that one love. Good. All right. It comes back in. How's the sound? Coming through? Okay, great. Thanks for the thumbs up. So my monitor went out, so we had to set things up on the fly this morning without that. So we're going with backup sound system, backup, which is always good. There is a backup. All right, good. How am I for time? Doing okay? Doing okay? Good. So let's take a minute here for our kirtan. I know we have meditation coming and silence coming. So I want you to kind of practice dropping in and just make sure you have time to experience the sounds that we did, the mantras that we used. So we used the sound of ah, or we used to open. We use the sound ah to clear tension, remove that from our space. Ah. Ah. Then we did an offering, and the offering was to the guru. And the offering, you could say, was for the, we could say for the positive potency, for the male potency of the mantra. And then we moved into the female potency of the love and the ma mantra, the ma sound. So I'm going to offer us now to sit with that ma, that J ma. So we ended with that, but I want us to feel and maybe resonate a little more with that ma. And maybe as you go into that, your meditation later, we'll have awakened and brought in that sweetness and that ma energy within each of you. So as we move through this transition, this new year transition coming into January, but we know that we are still moving through and carrying with us some work from 2020, some work from December, some work that we are moving into, or we are creating our new for 2021. So we're going to be offering what we just opened up, centering within ourselves. And now let's just breathe into this ma energy, right? So if you want, you can feel into the awareness of the area below your belly button, in your abdomen, in your sacral chakra region, for those who are have that awareness in their practice. So the space from root lock, where you're seated, right? And from Uddiyana Bandha, that lower part. Let's breathe into that seat of ma, that ocean of ma energy, okay? We're just going to say and echo Ma. You're in your own homes. Ma. Ma. And we're starting with just the Ma first. Ma. Ma. That universal mother, we're calling out. Ma. Feel into your heartbeat as you Ma. Ma. Feel into your experience. Feel how it's getting stronger or deeper, right? Find your words, but feel into that. Ma. Ma. We can go into J Ma now. J Ma. Yeah, just let it come. Sit and breathe, receiving the sounds and so kirtan, mantra and sound really take us into the experience of now, right? So all the practices and times, what happens is what happens. We have our intentions. So we do practice. We practice our yoga, and our asana, and we do our meditation so we can arrive now and accept what is as it arises. Ghost notes, right? It never happened before, so I can take it as a sign and take it that, yeah, maybe the knob got pulled and it's been moving around, and it's okay. It's okay. We chanted, it's okay. We practiced, and it's okay. All right. Jai Ma. So for those, if it's your first kirtan and your first time chanting, right, you are being offered, and you can use this in your practice, the Jai Ma chant. Jai Ma. And the beauty of it is in that open way is that you can find and play with your melodies this month. So it's open, you can make it a beat, and you can drive it. You have to get something done. Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma, right? It can become a driving chant. If you want to float with it, if you're, gardening or painting, and you just, want to see where it goes. Jai Ma, Jai Ma. Right? Taking that one love melody that we used, right? So this is how you can explore the mantra. You can try it on, right? For yourself, see how it fits. And some chants will take you right into the heart, take you right down to your root. And you will do that chant for 30 days, right? You will do it for the rest of your life. And other chants you will try for a week and move on to another chant. So that's the beauty of mantra. That's the beauty of mantra. And that's the beauty of a mantra practice. And it is a practice, right? And we practice, right, to return to our heart-mind space and to feel and experience our own yoga, right? So that union of our self to spirit, self to source, the union of ourselves to sound, right? And the union of ourselves to community, right? So we're chanting for our relationships, to our teacher, to our friend, to our beloved, right? So we chant for all these reasons. So let me check in on our time. We're right. I think we've got 5 minutes maybe.
Yes, actually, it's about 7 minutes. And could you explain one more time what is Jai Ma? Someone asked in the chat.
Yes, wonderful. So Jai Ma, yes, I did miss the J part. So Jai Ma, we're going to start at the beginning. So when we go to define the mantras, I can offer a definition based on my practice and based on my teachings and what my teachers have shared with me. So I am honored to share that with you because from my heart and my teachings and my practice, hopefully as you hear it, it touches your heart and your teachings and your practice. And that's what a Sangha does. So when we come with our intention of the Sangha, it's to connect our teachings and our practice. So the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So we're all a part of that. So J translates to victory. So victory of us, of ourselves, uniting our spirit. J. And Ma is the universal sound, Ma. So we're awakening a universal sound, a seed that's in our consciousness, in our being, that aligns us to one. It aligns us to victory of our spirit and to transcend ourselves and any obstacle, anything in our reality that causes us to transcend. So, J Ma, J Ma. So as you chant it, it'll have a meaning for you that resonates for you. And it'll have a meaning for me that resonates specifically for me. J Ma, J Ma. All right, and any type of transformation, any type of yoga, if it's seated from that place of love, that place which is rooted in oneness, right? So it's our guru and our Ma coming together to provide that platform for our potential, right? And that's what we all need because we come into 2021 is our own beautiful potential to be awakened with love, right? So we can smile, right? You got this for 2021, right? We have each other, you've got this. So, right, we have cause to say, Jai Ma, victory to Ma, seated in ourselves and in our being. Yay. Right, now we can sit in meditation with each other. Whoops, we can sit together in meditation with each other with this awareness. With this seed awakened. It makes it easier to sit, right? So just notice as you sit, notice you can root down and you can reach up with your spine, maybe a little bit easier. And that's what mantra's for, so we can sit with ease, so we can drop into our meditation with ease. All practice, your yoga asana, your chanting, so we can live, meditate, move with ease and with grace and with our smiles. Don't get me wrong, right? We're warriors. We know there's time we have to do warriors work, right? So we can align and do our warriors work with grace and with ease, with determination and with clarification. Wonderful. So happy to be with you all this Saturday in our Sangha. We'll see. So did anything else? Yes, thank you all. If there's any last questions, any time for one last sound before I take it, pass the mic for our meditation leader?
Yes, could you take us into one last sound and then we're just going to sit in 10 minutes of silence. So we're going to sit with whatever seed that you plant with us in silence. And then we'll pass it over to Brother Adisa.
Wonderful. All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I muted someone. I'm not sure if you were coming to ask a question. Excuse me.
Peace to you. Yes, I was coming to ask a question. Peace to everyone. My question was, as we are here practicing this Indus Kush, this ancient practice of chanting, from India, is there a time and a place where you teach its association to Kemet, the place the Greeks called Egypt, in terms of the history and association between those two civilizations and this great practice of chanting and these seed sounds?
Yes, a wonderful question. It's been really great to have it voiced, right? The questions of the connections between the civilizations, right? And as the sounds came out and were codified, we know the Kemetic scholars, they have been honored and received the honor from the Hindu scholars for helping for being the ones who have the correlated, wrote, preserved and help to initiate that we even have these sounds. So yes, there is the, I guess we could say it's the Hindu honor, but it's cosmic. This is for all of us, for all beings. So definitely and for those who don't know, the Kemetic way is our African traditional ways. So even if the chants have been preserved through the Hindu tradition, right? Yoga is for all people from around the world. So as we talk about drop in for our energy anatomy talks and the astrology yoga talks on the Wellness Wednesdays, we'll definitely be sharing how these two societies, civilizations, have preserved this knowledge for our own use, So definitely, yeah, being able to honor both. So I'm really glad that, we have a tribe and we can share this knowledge, all of our knowledge, right? Because it is ours. Ancient Kemet, Hindu, the Tao, right? We're going to touch upon it all because it is all available for us. We are one people, and we are the most ancient people. So the fact that we can share of Kemetic knowledge, of Hindu and Sanskrit chants, right? Sanskrit does not belong to the Hindus. It belongs to all of us. Sanskrit belongs to all of us, right? And we have wonderful teachers, African teachers of the Hindu tradition who've been affirmed through that guru tradition. And we have African teachers who've been affirmed in the Taoist tradition. And of course, our African teachers of the Kemetic tradition, they are there, and we honor that lineage and that line. So thank you so much for bringing that in and making sure we all are fully well and clear that the universe is ours. The universe is ours, right? Thank you. So with that, yeah, let's use that sound. Can we use that sound and go into, right? One sound to go into our meditation. Will that work?
Yes, ma'am. So right after we finish chanting, we're going to go into silent meditation for 10 minutes, okay? And then I'm going to ring the sound bowl 3 times, then we will proceed into the lecture.
All right. So again, find your comfortable seat, and right? So now notice how your seat is, right? I feel I'm really rooted down. I just love being able to tap into our, seeing the connection, our Kemetic and our Hindu culture, but sitting down through the roof, through your roots, sit down and really feel yourself rooted through the floor, right? And into the earth. And then allow the spine to lift and keeping the head level, but your crown is lifted, and see your crown, right? See your crown bejeweled as it is, right? Affirmed in the countries and the colors of your home country, right? So if you do know your African heritage and can wrap yourself in those colors, right? If not, right, wrap yourself in your own royal robes here and now, sitting tall. Chin is tucked ever so slightly. Uddiyana Bandha is pulled in and affirmed. Good. We're going to come into the sound, and the sound is we're going to open and close with it is the sound Om. Okay, so we're going to use the sound Om. So I'm going to give you some tones to go into the silence. So you're going to Om through the tones into silence. Okay? And then Jawa, if you want, you can, after we do the tones, you can switch the screen to, to the tribe. So people will have that for their 10-minute meditation. All right, wonderful. Thank you all. Peace, peace, peace. All right, so sitting tall. Oops, I'll give you some sound here. Sorry. Om. Oming out, completing your ohms. Good. See, so maybe still combing. Oming softly, just letting your ohms get quieter and quieter. You start to move towards the silent meditation, taking your volume down, cutting it in half. Keep your ohm chanting going. You'll have a minute of internal ohming without making a sound before you move to silence. Quiet ohms. Good. Good. Now take your own internal and keep your mind focused on the internal ohms and move your breath up and down your spine if you need a focus for your meditation. Okay. Good. Dropping now into your meditation.
Okay, everyone. I hope that was blissful. I'm gonna pass it over to Brother Adissa to spotlight his video. And whenever you're ready, brother, you can take it away.
All right, all right. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. First off, I would like to thank the sister for the wonderful, wonderful, great concert we just had.
Thank you, brother, but it's a little low. Let me make sure my volume is up.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but it's a little bit low.
Bluetooth disconnected.
Let me see if it'll work better now. I might have to switch. You can hear it better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. Now I can't hear y'all, but it's all right. Because I got to talk, so it's whatever. Okay. So first off, I just wanted to say thank you for that. That was awesome. I really loved and definitely enjoyed it. It was really incredible, really well put together. I see we both rocking the purple, man. It was just that type of time of the day, huh? Yeah, really great, really great. Okay, so today we're gonna go over a few things. First, I'm gonna give a brief introduction of who I am exactly and my position in Buddhism. I'm also gonna briefly talk about Buddhism as a short introduction, and then we're gonna go over into the Dhamma talk, which is gonna be the Satcavivanga Sutta. That is the exposition of the truths. So this is an analysis of the truths today. We're gonna have a really good analysis on the entire path of Buddhism, if you will. So first off, really short introduction. My name is Adissa. I go by Adissa Dhamma. I am from the state of Virginia. I started out in Mahayana Buddhism. Okay, I started out in the Mahayana path. I came from a long line of different practices and such forth. My family, of course, Christian, like most of us in America. My family is Christian, but they always had African roots, African spiritual background, et cetera, et cetera. I then moved over into African traditional practices, mostly of Yoruba background. And then, of course, I did some study in ancient Kemet as well for ancient Kemet. I started the Kemetic study from the Nuwaubian nation of Moors. That's Dr. York, if anyone's familiar with him. So upon discovering Buddhism, that was a very big shift in my entire process of thinking. I wasn't expecting to see such a truth expounded so eloquently from Buddha. I always seen Buddha and in a lot of things, like, of course, decorations in homes. I saw him referenced in a lot of different movies, and I didn't even know. I was like, okay, what is this Buddha guy about? Because I see a lot of people talk about him in meditation, or just other practices in general. So I did some research, went to a temple, Mahayana temple, right around the corner from where I stay. And they got me on the path. They taught me well. I really sought it mostly also because I had extremely bad anxiety and panic disorder. So upon seeking that, I got some answers. I got the answers that I wanted about spirituality and this existence. And also I got a chance to overcome those issues that I was battling mentally as well. I did that through a series of trainings and different practices. And we're going to go over a lot of that today. So about Buddhism, for those who do not know, Buddhism started in northern India, if you will, you want to call it. Some people just say Nepal. If you want to say that, that's fine. But at the time, it was still northern India. Started in northern India by a man named Siddhartha Gautama. If you want to call him well, people at the time, he was Prince Siddharth at that time. He was a prince. His father name was Suddhodana. His mother name was Maya. So he grew up with, of course, a very curious mind, like some of us. We kind of got like an aptitude for spirituality. Like we feel as though we want to know something. We want to know what this existence is about, why it is what it is, et cetera, et cetera. He had those similar questions because he was already he was destined to be the way he was, in short. But he had those similar questions. And upon seeking for those answers, he saw, four things. He saw three things. He saw someone that was old, someone sick, and someone that was dying. He already knew about birth, of course, but someone old, sick, and dying. This led to him having an epiphany on many different levels, and eventually it led him out to a journey that he took. And upon his journey, he discovered two teachers by the name of Uddaka Ramaputta and Alara Kalama, and they both taught him levels of mind we call jhana in our particular practice. And he didn't get what he wanted. He didn't learn he didn't learn the truth at all at that point. So that's why they say he's self-awakened, because he didn't get the help from a teacher when he did this. He got the assistance from teachers. They showed him like, okay, this is how to meditate. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. But he didn't get the answers that he was looking for. So upon his own journey and, learning and self-discovery, he started practicing certain meditations. And he saw that the middle way was the way, because everybody at the time, well, most other sect at the time, they were doing very austere practices. They were doing things like hanging upside down, sleeping on spikes, all kinds of crazy things, at that time. Well, it would be looked at as crazy, from an outside perspective. But the Buddha found that to be too extreme. Then there was the other side of it, the overindulgence in pleasures. That side is also too extreme to try to find some type of awakening. So Buddha said, there must be some other way. And that way he found was the middle way. It is this distance right between pleasure and pain. The middle way is how he found the peace that he was looking for. Thus, he continued his practice by utilizing the middle way. And eventually he reached awakening, and that's how he came to be. Upon reaching awakening, he taught a group of 5 ascetic friends, 5 monks in a forest. And when he taught them the 4 noble truths. Okay. He expounded that. He also expounded the 8-fold path of awakening, which is what you take in order to reach awakening. The purpose of Buddhism is awakening. A lot of people think that Buddhism is utilized just to reach and attain some kind of happiness of some sort and things of that nature. But the purpose of Buddhism is to take you away from suffering through awakening. So suffering, happiness, take the exclusion of suffering, the incorporation of happiness, things like that. That's a byproduct of becoming an awakened being. So we teach that as more so of a byproduct, not the aim. The aim is not to become happy and things like that, because the truth is life throws us with curveballs. Life will always not be a happy and good feeling thing, So recognizing that truth and not attaching to the concept of happiness and trying to reach peace and such forth, not attaching to it. That is what will help us reach this peace. And we'll be able to introspectively look at these negative feelings as they arise, because now we have more mindfulness, more control, because we're not attached to anything more so. So now we have more mindfulness and control. We can look and see those negative feelings as they arise. So the middle way in Buddhism, the 2 extremisms in our instances, right? One would be the suppression of emotions, complete suppression. That's an extreme. The other one would be the chasing of sensual pleasures. That's also an extreme. The middle way is the introspective look at emotions or thoughts, etc., as they arise. That's the middle way. Because now, if pleasure or pain arises, we simply observe it. Observing it dissipates it. It brings us back to that state of peace, or it could even be single-mindedness, just depending on the particular practice. So that's mostly what Buddha teaches. He teaches to escape the realm of samsara, the cycle of existence, suffering, right? And I'm just going to go over that a little brief. And other times, maybe in the future, I'll be able to come back up here we'll go ahead and break it down even further, of course. But today we're just doing a simple analysis. I'm definitely summarizing a lot of that stuff. So what we're going to do, I wanted to pay homage, of course, to the Buddha. We usually do this homage right before we do Dhamma talks. We already did the meditation part, so that was perfect. Thank you for that. So I don't have to go through that. We are going to do a homage. I'll do it shortly. I'll do the homage. Now, the homage is in Pali, right? Pali is the language closest to what the Buddha spoke at the time. It's kind of related to Sanskrit. So it's in Pali, and then I'll translate it into English at the end, right? So this is the homage. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Now, that means blessings to the Holy One, the Worthy One, the Rightly Self-Awakened One. The translation is homage to the Holy One, the Worthy One, the Rightly Self-Awakened One. And that is the translation to that from Pali. So we're going to go over the Satyavibhanga Sutta. There are the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. And this is what's going to break down the Eightfold Path. I'll give a short little commentary afterwards, and then I'll open up the room for questions if anyone have any. And then, we'll kind of go from there. Satyavibhanga Sutta, the exposition of truths. By the way, there will be some words that will come up. There'll be some names that will come up, and I'll give a short, explanation on what those names and words are. It says, thus I have heard, on one occasion, the Blessed One was living at the Benares and the Deer Park at Isapatana. It says, there he addressed the bhikkhus. A bhikkhu is a Buddhist monk. Thus, bhikkhus. Then they said, Venerable Sir, the Blessed One said this, at Benares, bhikkhus, in the Deer Park at Isapatana, the Tathagata is a word that means thus who has gone. It's like when Buddha says Tathagata, he doesn't believe in the concept. There's no concept in Buddhism of a self. There's something called anatta in Buddhism, which means non-self or no self. Some people confuse that with saying not soul, but what he's saying is that there's no actual self, that all self is practically empty. It's just conditioned. So when Buddha talks about his self, he refers to himself in some kind of third person, and he calls himself a Tathagata, right? Instead of saying I. So instead of saying I will go to the store, he'll say the Tathagata went to the store. Just for giving an example, right? It says, accomplished and fully enlightened, set rolling, matchless will of the Dhamma, which cannot be stopped by any recluse or Brahmin or God or Mara. A Mara is like a devil, so to speak, if you will. Or Brahma. Of course, a Brahma would be like a supreme being, a God, if a high God, etc., etc. In Buddhism, it's used a little differently because a Brahma is kind of a classification of a Dewa, a higher one. It says, or anyone in the world, that is the announcing, teaching, describing, establishing, revealing, expounding, and exhibiting of the Four Noble Truths. What for? It says the announcing, teaching, describing, establishing, revealing, expounding, and the exhibiting of the noble truth of suffering. The announcing, teaching, describing, establishing, revealing, expounding, and exhibiting the noble truth of the origin of suffering, of the noble truth of the ending of suffering, and of the noble truth of the way leading to the ending of suffering, which is the Eightfold Path. At Benares Bhikkhu, in the Deer Park at Isapatana, the Tathagata, accomplished and fully enlightened, set rolling the matchless will of Dhamma. It says, which cannot be stopped by any recluse or Brahmin or God or Mara or Brahma or anyone in the world. That is the announcing, teaching, describing, establishing, revealing, expounding, and exhibiting of these Four Noble Truths. It says, cultivate the friendship of Sariputta and Moggallana bhikkhus. So Sariputta and Moggallana are two of Buddha's chief disciple monks. They are very, very, very powerful because Moggallana had psychic ability that was similar to Buddha, and Sariputta had wisdom that was similar or close to Buddha. So Sariputta would give teachings And he would sound like Buddha when he talks, you know. They were both awakened beings as well. They were arahants, which are awakened ones. Okay. It says, they are wise and helpful to their companions in the holy life. Sariputta is like a mother. Moggallana is like a nurse. It says Sariputta trains others for the fruit of the stream entry. Moggallana for the supreme goal. So the fruit of the stream entry is something that most lay people can get to. Us lay people, we deal with, you know, the daily bustle and hustle of life, of course. So we still indulge in things like sensual pleasures, et cetera, and that's fine. We're not monks, you know, so we deal with life how it is. Stream enterers are people who attain what's called the Dhamma eye, Dhamma Chakku, which allows a person to see the Dhamma, or at least a small portion of it. The Dhamma here is representative of phenomena or the truth of existence itself, and also beyond it. So a person who achieves the Dhamma eye can see a part of the truth. They can understand the Four Noble Truths. They know the Eightfold Path of Awakening, et cetera, right? They understand karma. They understand those principles. To become a stream winner, to reach the fruit of the stream winner, you have to walk the path. And Sariputta was good for teaching people to walk that path. In order to reach awakening in Buddhism, a person has to go through what's called the 4 stages of awakening. And the stage that I just mentioned is the first stage, which is the stream entry, which is they call Sotapanna. Okay. A Sotapanna is a stream winner or stream enterer. So Sariputta was famous for teaching people those exact steps on how to become a Sotapanna. And this is what the Buddha is referring to. And Moggallana was very good with teaching people how to achieve the supreme goal, which is cessation of suffering itself. So one taught how to start and how to get in. He was good for that. The other one taught how to accomplish the entire thing. He was very good for that as well. Okay. So it says, Sariputta trains others in the fruit of the stream entry and Moggallana for the supreme goal. Sariputta Bhikkhus is able to announce, teach, describe, establish, reveal, expound, and exhibit the Four Noble Truths. So the Blessed One said, having said this, the Sublime One rose from his seat and went to his dwelling. Then, soon after the Blessed One had gone, the Venerable Sariputta, addressed the bhikkhus thus. Sariputta said, friends, bhikkhus. They said, friend. The bhikkhus replied to the Venerable Sariputta. It says, the Venerable Sariputta said this, Abhinari's friend, in the dear part at Isapatana, it says, the Tathagata, accomplished and fully enlightened, set rolling the matchless wheel of the Dhamma, and exhibiting of the Four Noble Truths. What for? It says, the announcing and exhibiting of the noble truth of suffering, the origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering. So now at this part, Sariputta is going to break down each one of the Four Noble Truths. He's going to break it down in a complete analysis so you can understand. And he's also going to break down the Four Noble Truths in a complete analysis. Okay? And what, friends, is the noble truth of suffering? Birth is suffering. Aging is suffering. Death is suffering. Sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair are suffering. Not to obtain what one wants is suffering. And being around being around something that you do not like is suffering. In short, the 5 aggregates affected by clinging are suffering. And what, friends, is birth? The birth of beings into the various orders of beings. They are coming to birth, precipitation into a womb, generation, the manifestation of the aggregates, which is form, feeling, perception, impulse, and consciousness, the 5 aggregates, okay? Obtaining the basis for contact. The basis for contact are the eyes, nose, tongue, et cetera, right? It says, that is obtaining the basis of contact. This is called birth. And what, friends, is aging? The aging of beings and the various orders of beings, their old age, brokenness of teeth, grayness of hair, wrinkling of skin, decline of life, weakness of faculties. This is called aging. And what, friends, is death? The passing away of beings out of various orders of beings. They're passing away, dissolution, disappearance, dying, completion of time, dissolution of the aggregates, laying down of the body. This is called death. And what, friends, is sorrow? the sorrowfulness, inner sorrowness, sorriness, one who has encountered some misfortune or is affected by a painful state. That is called sorrow. And what, friends, is lamentation? The wailing and lamenting, bewailing and lamentation of one who has encountered some misfortune or is affected by a painful state. This is called lamentation. And what, friends, is pain? Bodily pain, bodily discomfort, painful, uncomfortable feeling born of bodily contact. This is called pain. And what, friends, is grief? Mental pain, mental discomfort, painful, uncomfortable feeling born of mental contact. Okay, so that's something that either comes up, of course, by memory, something that you think of, et cetera, et cetera. This is called grief. And what, friends, is despair? The trouble and despair, the tribulation and desperation of one who has encountered some misfortune or is affected by a painful state. This is called despair. And what, friends, is not to obtain what one wants is suffering. To being subject of birth, there comes the wish. Oh, that we were not subject to birth. That birth would not come to us. But this is not to be obtained by wishing. And not to obtain what one wants is suffering. It says, to beings subject to aging, subject to sickness, subject to death, subject to sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair. There comes the wish. Oh, that we were not subject to sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair. That sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair would not come to us. But this is not to be obtained by wishing, and not to be obtained by one who wants suffering. So yes, not to obtain what one wants is definitely suffering, of course. You're not able to get the things that you desire in your life, of course. You wanting the opposite of whatever is a painful condition, that can also be considered that as well. So this is a part of our suffering as well. And what, friends, are the 5 aggregates affected by clinging that, in short, are suffering? They are the material form aggregate, okay, affected by clinging, the feeling aggregate affected by clinging, the perception aggregate affected by clinging, the formations or thoughts aggregate affected by clinging, and the consciousness aggregate affected by clinging. These are the 5 aggregates affected by clinging that, in short, are suffering. This is called the noble truth of suffering. So because we attach to things like our body, because we attach to our own perception, our own feelings, our own thoughts, and even our consciousness, because we're identified with those 5 things, we are subject and prone to suffering. Not clinging and attaching to those 5 things creates the peace that we look for, really. But of course, just by simply wishing that you weren't, experiencing those things, it won't work. You must be trained in order, to achieve that. And what, friends, is the noble truth of the origin of suffering? So now we went over what suffering is. So now we're going to look at what the origin of it is. So what causes all these problems? Okay. And what, friends, is the noble truth of the origin of suffering? It is craving, which brings renewal of being, is accompanied by delight and lust, and delights in this and that. That is craving for sensual pleasures, craving for being, and craving for non-being. This is called the noble truth of the origin of suffering. Okay. So craving brings the renewal of being. What is meant by that is, of course, a person that constantly has a craving tendencies or underlying tendencies of some sort of craving. At the dissolution of the body, at the time of death, that consciousness will reform again. Okay, that's what this means. And depending on the karma of the individual, depends on the form of the individual. Okay, depending on the person's past mind conditions, will depend on the future arising of future conditions and aggregates. So that's what he means by that. It says, so that is the craving, that is the cause of it is craving, right? Accompanied by delight and lust, which delights in this and that. That is a craving for sensual pleasures, craving for being, and craving for non-being. What you wish to become, what you want to do, all of those things, what you don't want to be, what you don't want to become, all of those things are all under the line of craving. Craving is the cause of all suffering. Okay? This is called the noble truth of the origin of suffering. It says, and what, friends, is the noble truth of the cessation of suffering? So how is it that we found out what suffering is, we found out what causes it. So how do we end it? What does it mean for cessation to end? It says, and what, friends, is the noble truth of the cessation of suffering? It is the remainderless fading away and the ceasing, the giving up, relinquishing, letting go, and rejecting of that same craving. This is called the noble truth of the cessation of suffering. Okay? So in order to overcome suffering, we must let go of craving, which is the cause of it. Okay? And what, friends, is the noble truth of the way leading to the cessation of suffering? So now we know what suffering is. We know the cause. We know that it can end. So how do we end it? My favorite part. It says, it is just this, the noble eightfold path. That is right view, right intentions, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And what, friends, is right view? Right view is knowledge of suffering, knowledge of the origin of suffering, knowledge of the cessation of suffering, and knowledge of the way leading to the cessation of suffering. This is called right view. When a person practices meditation, right, they get to these heightened levels for sure. And Buddha's teachers, for example, they were extremely in high levels of jhana, right? They were in the states called the sphere of nothingness and the sphere of neither perception or non-perception, which are the last two highest states a person can attain in jhana, right? So they were there, they had it. So why is it that they still, even though they had that, they did not escape the cycle of existence itself? Well, it's because they didn't have right view. They didn't have the knowledge of suffering. They didn't have the knowledge of the origin of it. They didn't have the knowledge of the cessation of it and the path leading to that cessation. This is why they were not able to achieve awakening and become arahants, so they can escape the cycle of existence. So knowing right view is extremely important. Right view is like a shield on your mind. It's like a seed. Once you learn about right view and you start to perceive it better, it protects you and blocks you from, the pains of this life, to be honest. I mean, when you go through certain things, you feel anger or you feel certain things happening, automatically your mind it goes back to right view, the origin of suffering, the cessation, etc., etc. So that is right view. So what is the second one? It's called, what is right intention? Intention of renunciation, intention of non-ill will, and the intention of non-cruelty. This is called right intent. Okay. So a person, the next part of the path is to align and have the correct intentions. And the best intentions to have is the intention of renunciation, meaning there are times where you must renounce from worldly ways, worldly things, etc. Now, this is for us lay people. Right now, I'm talking to the lay people, because that part is really for bhikkhus, monks, okay? But for us lay people, we have certain times in our practice, 2 times a month, new moon and full moon, called Uposatha Day, right? During these days, we observe the full and new moons. And during these days, we emulate what it is to be an arahant or a Buddha, okay? So we emulate it because Buddha was realistic. He understood people are busy, out here. Everybody's not going to be a monk, but this teaching can work for everybody, if they do it correctly. So we have to have time to renounce ourselves from the world and the worldly ways. We don't make that time, we're going to keep creating more mental conditions, or sankharas, which are conditions of the mind. Because sankharas create conditions, right? So if I see the image of someone, getting killed, for example, right? That will create more sankharas in the mind. And that will condition my mind to feel negative feelings and then create mindsets. I'll create mindsets, I'll form views, and that'll create more. My mind will then become conscious of those views, and then I'll create thoughts. My thoughts will reflect what those views are. And then I'll keep creating more sankharas, and they'll keep going into this extreme cycle over and over and over again, right? So renunciation is extremely important. It's very important that we renounce often. So the intention of renunciation, the intention of non-ill will. So having a heart imbued with metta, loving kindness, is important, right? And the teaching. Metta is a very big aspect of the teaching. Not the full aspect, but it is a very big aspect of the teaching. So along with having a mind of renunciation and a mind of non-ill will, of course, naturally, why did Buddha set it up where we have to have a mind of non-ill will? Because when we create negative karmas from our misdeeds, it stops our progression mentally. It stops the mental cultivation process. right? Negative karmas block out the mind's cultivation process. You can't develop fully with a mind that's too stricken with your wrongdoings and misdeeds. It's going to be very hard to concentrate. Also, the negative karmas could possibly ripen in this lifetime, which could also create events or mental conditions to stop you from meditating, or etc. So we keep our mind imbued in renunciation and non-ill will. Non-ill will means we're doing good for others. Good for others means we're creating good karmas. Good karmas means we might be able to create that life, that's conducive to our practice. All right. So it says, and the intention of non-cruelty, which ties into the previous, right? And it says that is called right intention. And what, friends, is right speech? Abstaining from false speech, not lying. Abstaining from malicious speech, not purposely and intentionally harming others with your words. Now, this does not mean that you can't be not abrasive, but assertive, right? If need be. If it comes off harsh because it's the truth, but you're not intentionally harming somebody with your words, that's okay. It happens. The monk Mahakassapa, one of Buddha's chief disciples, he was known for having a very sharp tongue. Okay, so it happens. If you need to be assertive, you do. Everybody believes that when you be Buddhist or whatever, you got all of this submissive kind of thing. No, you can be assertive still. You need to, if you have to say what you need to say and be honest and truthful, that's fine. Just don't intentionally malicious harm people with your words. Abstaining from harsh speech, okay, and abstaining from idle chatter. This is called right speech. Okay, so the third of the path is called right speech. Idle chatter is just talking about meaningless and baseless things. Okay, and what, friends, is right action? Abstaining from killing living beings, all living beings, including insects. Abstaining from taking what is not given, and abstaining from misconduct and sensual pleasures. This is called right action. Okay, so killing living beings, all living beings, because the intent to kill is karmic. Any intention in Buddhism, karma, because we use the Pali terminology to differentiate between the two, because Hinduism has a slight different look on karma. In Buddhism, karma means intent. It means intention. So you create karmas when you intend to do anything, even if it's mental. There are 3 ways to exercise karma: by body, by speech, and by mind. Okay, so karma is intent. Anytime you create a karma, that's something you will have to relive or re-meet those intents again. You will have to relive and re-meet that karma again. The objective in Buddhism is not to create good karma. It's just that good karma helps it creates an environment conducive to your practice. The objective in Buddhism is to transcend karma, period. Like to get out of it, because karma means intent. Intent means rebirth, off grip. You have to meet your intentions again. Like if you send them out, you have to keep meeting those. When you do them, you have to meet them. When your physical flesh dies, you will go right to that intent next. Okay, your next intent. So that is the key here. All right. So abstaining from misconduct and sensual pleasures, that's pretty obvious, right? Of course, sexual misconduct and things like that. Okay. That's called right action. And what, friends, is right livelihood? Here, a noble disciple, having abandoned wrong livelihood, earns his living by right livelihood. This is called right livelihood. But let me break it down a little bit more. I'll expound it because it's not expounded here fully. Right livelihood means, for a layperson, not to have business in meats, not to have business in intoxication or intoxicants, not to have business in weapons, not to have business in poisons, and not to have business in humans. Okay, those are the 5 kinds of wrong livelihoods that the Buddha suggests lay people to stay away from. Okay, so meats, poisons, weapons, intoxicants, and humans. So that would mean stuff like trafficking, et cetera, things like that. Okay, slavery too, things like that. All right. So that is called right livelihood. And what, friends, is right effort? Here, a bhikkhu awakens zeal for the non-arising of unarisen, evil, unwholesome states, and he makes an effort, arouses energy, and exerts his mind and strives. Right effort is a very important practice of Buddhism. Okay, it says he awakens zeal for the abandoning of arisen evil, unwholesome states, and he makes the effort, arouses energy, and exerts his mind and strives. He awakens zeal for the arising of unarisen wholesome states, and he makes effort, arouses energy, exerts his mind, and strives. He awakens zeal for the continuance, non-disappearance, strengthening, increase, and fulfillment by development of arisen wholesome states, and he makes an effort, arouses energy, exerts his mind, and strives. That is called right effort. Very, very important process. Very, very, very. And right effort goes right along with they all tie hand in hand. They definitely all tie hand in hand. Right effort is very important for right mindfulness. Right effort is very important for right action, because you have to summon that zeal, that persistence, that diligence to keep practicing, these teachings. And Buddha does have a dispensation of his teachings. He has a specific order of how he teaches people. And I'll explain that order after this. It says, and what, friends, is right mindfulness? So this is the seventh path. Here a bhikkhu abides, contemplating the body as body, ardent, fully aware, and mindful. Having put away covetousness and the grief for the world, he abides, contemplating feelings as feelings, ardent, fully aware. Okay? Having put away the grief for the world. He abides, contemplating the mind as mind, ardent, fully aware, and mindful. And he also abides, contemplating the Dhamma as Dhamma, also known as mind objects. In this case, it means mind or mental objects, right? So that is right mindfulness. Right mindfulness is very important, because now with mindfulness, so those are called the four foundations of mindfulness, right? Satipatthana, right? These are the four foundations of mindfulness. And body, feelings, mind, and mental objects. Very, very important, because now you're teaching people that mindfulness that you need in order to practice the rest of the path. You're teaching people to be able to concentrate and focus on practicing moralities, on further developing their concentration, which is going to be the next one, and also understanding wisdoms, right? Perceiving wisdoms easier. Mindfulness allows you to do that, all right? Buddhism mindfulness, that's mostly the purpose of Buddhism mindfulness, right? Buddhism mindfulness is that. It's about perfection of a person's virtues. It's possible. People I know, in this society, people say, "Well, nobody's perfect. We can't be perfect," and stuff like that, right? But in Buddhism, we have a different knowledge about it, because there is indeed a way for a human to perfect themselves in terms of conduct, moralities, in terms of concentration of their mind, and even wisdoms. It is way. You can perfect virtues first. And that's what you want to really focus on. You want to focus on the morality side of it, because with the morality aspect, right? Once again, you're creating those karmas that you need to create a conducive world, conducive environment. It helps other people as well. You spread that goodness, that good karma, you spread your merits to other people, basically. When they see that, they get inspired, and they want to also do good as well. But everyone won't be that way, but a good amount of people will. You get as much as people as you can. There's people working around the clock to make evil appear in the world. So we should do the same opposite on the opposite end. We cause good to appear in the world, around the clock, so this is what this is about. There is no mental development. There is no awakening without the mastery of virtue, conduct. There's no way. You cannot skip this part. Many people that come into Buddhism, they want to skip and get to the mental part. And they want to do all of this stuff. They want to get meditation, and they come to try to learn superpowers and all this other stuff. That's not what this is for. Yes, there is abilities in Buddhism, but they are a result of your practice, right? But that's not what we do this for, okay? We do this for awakening, right? So, and what, friends, is right concentration? So this is the eighth part of the path. What, friends, is right concentration? Here, it says here, quite secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, a bhikkhu enters upon and abides in the first jhana, which is accompanied by applied and sustained thought, with rapture and pleasure born of seclusion. So the pleasure here is referring to the type of pleasure here is a spiritual pleasure. It's not granted through the nervous system. It's a completely different kind of pleasure. It's a spiritual pleasure. It's not pleasure through the sensual or sensuous realm. It's pleasure through spiritual faculties. So you don't perceive it through your senses. It's something completely different. It's a very subtle ecstasy, if you will. Very subtle. All right. So that's the first jhana, right? The factors of the first jhana is applied and sustained thought with rapture and pleasure. So your thought there's a deep jhana are very deep states of concentration, extreme deep states of concentration. They come after samadhi, and samadhi is very deep concentration as well. So jhana is the next level of deep concentration. With jhanas have different factors, and they all have different, I guess you could say, abilities, if you will. So I'm gonna, keep going. So with the stilling of apply and sustained thought, he enters and abides in the second jhana. So in order to get into the second jhana, you have to still the applied and sustained thought. So in the second jhana, there is no thought. Okay, which he enters and abides in the second jhana, which has self-confidence and singleness of mind without applied and sustained thought, with rapture and pleasure born of concentration, right? So the first one was rapture and pleasure born of the seclusion. And what is the seclusion? Seclusion of sensual pleasures. So when sensual pleasures end, when the 5 hindrances end, then a person can reach the first jhana. What are the 5 hindrances, right fast? Because it's not explaining that here, but that is the case. What is the 5 hindrances? 5 hindrance is sensory desire, ill will, doubt, restlessness and remorse, right? Which is like worry and anxiety, and sloth and torpor, which is like drowsiness, laziness. Those are called the 5 hindrances. And Buddha expounds on this as well. There's a complete separate sutta on the teachings of the 5 hindrances. So the 5 hindrances is the main reason why we can't achieve awakening. They're blockades to our progression. So when Buddha gets you in a deeper level of the practice, right, he will teach you the meditations that specifically counter the 5 hindrances. At the time that you counter those 5 hindrances, you will go into the first jhana, which is the seclusion of sensual pleasures in general. Because ending all 5 hindrances means ending of all sensual pleasures. Because remember, I said the second hindrance was sensual desire, right? So all 5 of these things must go. Now, it is common that a lay person can achieve the first jhana. Okay, it's normally not common for a lay person to achieve any jhanas higher because of our indulgence in things, and that's okay. Like I said, I'll get into it another time, but it's fine. It's definitely fine. We have some really good perks of still, practicing what we do, in terms of the spiritual realm, right? Now it says, so I just explained the second jhana, right? Okay. And now it says, with the fading away of rapture, right, he abides in equanimity and mindful and fully aware, still feeling pleasure with the body. He enters and abides in the third jhana, on the account of which the noble ones announce. He has a pleasant abiding, who has equanimity and is mindful, right? So in the third jhana, there's equanimity and mindfulness. He's fully aware, right? He still feels pleasure with the body, though, at this state. So to be equanimous is similar to indifference, if you will. It's kind of like being indifferent. You're like in an indifferent state. Now, with the abandoning of pleasure and pain, and with the previous disappearance of joy and grief, he enters and abides in the fourth jhana, which has neither pleasure nor pain, and purity of mindfulness due to equanimity. This is called right concentration. So that is the eightfold path. This is the noble truth of the way leading to the cessation of suffering. At Binari's friend and the deer park at Isapatana, the Tathagata, accomplished and fully awakened, set rolling the matchless wheel of the Dhamma, which cannot be stopped by any recluse or Brahmin or God or Mara or Brahma, or anyone in this world, that is. The announcing, teaching, describing, establishing, revealing, expounding, and the exhibiting of these 4 noble truths. This is what the Venerable Sariputta said. The bhikkhus were satisfied and delighted in the Venerable Sariputta's words. All right. So that's the ending of the discourse, right? So yes, these are very, very interesting skills. And once again, when I found this, you know, it was absolutely life-changing. The way that the monks, because I said I was going to explain this to you guys, the way that the monks trained me was in what's called, we call it the threefold training. The threefold training. So the threefold training is Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, right? This is called the threefold training system. And this is how Buddha teaches all people who come to him to learn, right? Whether it be monks or lay people. Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. So Sila is step 3 through 5 on the Eightfold Path, which is right speech, action, and livelihood, right? Samadhi, which is the second training, is steps 6, 7, and 8. So 6 through 8, which is right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And Panya, which is wisdom, is steps 1 and 2, which would be right view and right intentions, right? So all 8 of the paths, all 8 of this path, all 8 factors of the path can be subsumed into those 3 trainings. And this is specifically how the Buddha teaches. So what Buddha starts out with is teaching you preliminary knowledge. So you need a little bit of Panya in order to start the training of Sila. You have to know, why is it that I am practicing this virtue? Why do I need to be a good person? Why do I need to be who I am? See, Buddhism is about analysis. It's about like analyzing, investigation. It's not about belief, especially particularly blind belief in particular, right? The word sada, some people would call it faith in Buddhism, but you can translate it to mean trust more so. Because when you say faith, it can kind of denote some kind of blind, you know, like you're just following it just because. But Buddha never, ever taught people to do that. He always told others to investigate the teachings. So everything is broken down. That, as you saw how Buddha teaches, he teaches in a very specified like order, and it's a layout. It's very methodical. It's very, very much so laid out. So everything must be broken down. So to start the path, you need preliminary wisdom, which would be Panya, a preliminary Panya, right? That preliminary Panya is learning, why is it that I should even practice these good deeds and good things? That preliminary Panya is about karma, right? So, and this is why Sanghas are very important, because see, Anand came to Buddha one time, and Ananda said to Buddha, Ananda is one of the 4 major disciples of Buddha, by the way. Ananda said to Buddha, he said, Buddha, he said, half of this holy life, it is great that we have friends. Friends are half of the holy life. And Buddha said, no, Ananda, don't say that. That's not true. He said, friends are the whole of the holy life, the whole of it. So reason being is because as friends in the Sangha, we are to promote us to practice these teachings, of course. Like everything that you do in life, it will go back. So you come to me for advice, or versus going to an outsider for advice. Let's just say, for example, you get into maybe a breakup, a bad situation, a relationship. You go to someone from the outside, they might maybe tell you things that might not be conducive to good karma. You know, it might be something that's negative, or very stirring in the mind. It causes negative emotions and things, maybe to spread like a wildfire. Might not be good. But if you go to a Sangha, right, the Sangha will always refer to you to the concepts of impermanence, that we'll discover or not go over not self, impermanence. We'll go over, suffering, the cause of it, the cessation of it, the path leading to the cessation of it, right? We will refer you to these things. We will keep your head in the game, versus having you to keep going down that rabbit hole of sensual stimulation, because that's all that is, right? So we'll bring you to introspection. So this is why the Sangha is called the incomparable field of merit. It is the incomparable field of merit, because the Sangha, right? The Sangha brings a person to the aspect of awakening. You can literally learn how to escape the samsaric existence by getting in contact and taking refuge in a Sangha. And that's the whole point. So it's very important that we have friends and have the Sangha in Buddhism. So what we do is we learn these principles as base knowledge. And then after that, we go into the rest of the teaching of Sila. So in Sila, we take refuge, and we also do our vows, if you will, if you want to call them a vow. So these precepts, they're called the 5 precepts: not killing, not stealing, not lying, not committing sexual misconduct, and not intoxicating the body. This is the base teaching of Buddhism, the very, very start of it. All 5 of them, all 5 of those things are not conducive to your practice of awakening. Okay. I get a lot of questions, because I am gonna definitely open up for anyone who has any questions, but I'm gonna answer this already. Intoxication. Now, in Buddhism, the reason why intoxication is observed is something to be avoided. And mind you, there's no dogma. Buddhism's not a dogma, so it's not a strict, like you have to do that, you know what I mean? But it's recommended by the Buddha because intoxication can lead to breaking the other 4 precepts. It can lead you to that. So people that might get in, it's not all the time though. Of course, there's outliers and situations or whatever. It's not a all thing. But for example, killing. There are people in this world who, when intoxicated, they take the life of other beings. They harm other beings, because the first precept is not just killing, it's just intentionally harming in general. Okay. So some people intoxicated, or by the influence of other intoxicants like drugs, they might steal. People steal because of their addictions to certain intoxicants, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Upon getting in trouble, or, they have to get out of a situation because of their intoxication or because of their addiction or what they do, they lie. They lie to themselves, they lie to others, et cetera, et cetera. No, I'm not doing that. I don't do that no more. I don't drink. I don't blah, 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 and these are people that's, really addicted to things, more, into it. Of course, the 4th one is very, very obvious. A person that's under the intoxication can definitely commit sexual misconduct. That's probably the most common one of them all, right? Intoxication can lead to sexual misconduct, blaming on the alcohol and all of this other kind of stuff. There's songs about it, for crying out loud. So the fifth of the next reason mostly is because intoxication leads to heedlessness of mind. So if your mind is belligerent, or it's just under the heavy influence of any intoxicants, you won't be able to concentrate. You won't be able to truly, truly concentrate and introspectively, look at emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, etc. You won't be able to do that. It's not possible. And especially not the Buddhist perspective of meditation, because mind you, Buddhism is about the seclusion of sensual pleasures. So I know some people will say, well, other cultures, they get high and they meditate, well, because they have a particular perspective they have a particular goal and perspective, on their meditation. And Buddhism, in order to reach the supreme goal, you must seclude yourself from all forms of sensual stimulation, be it good or bad. You have to seclude from it, right? So that's not possible. Not only that, it also shows the condition of your mind for the most part. Because if a person's mind was undisturbed and in a constant peaceful state and in a blissful state, would you want to alter that mind? Would you want to change it to something else? Would you want to drink or any of those things if your mind already felt good? What would be the point of it? A lot of people, they do things in order to, overcome the stresses of life or past misdeeds of others or themselves. They do it for many reasons. But Buddhism is teaching self-reliance, to be a lamp upon yourself, be an island upon yourself, right? Not to rely on any external being or external force at all. So that might answer that question: is there a God in Buddhism, or do we practice, do we do any extra external thing in order to, reach self-awakening? The answer is no. We fully rely on the self. We take refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Those are called the 3 jewels. The Buddha is the provider. He's the doctor. He provides the Dhamma. He's born on the earth literally to learn this path of medicine. The Dhamma is the medicine, and the Sangha are like the nurses. Okay. So we take refuge in those 3 things because those 3 things lead us away from sensualities. It leads us away from those parts of suffering. I love the beautiful teachings of other systems. They're all amazing to me. They're great. The only issue that I might have, right, with a lot of systems is that they teach people to overindulge in the concept of pleasure and trying to be happy all the time. I love Buddhism because Buddhism helps you be realistic and lets you see life as it is without attaching any concept, no view, no concept to it. You just see it as it is without the attaching and labeling of something. Feelings or other things cannot arise. Feeling arises when a person has a particular view, and I'm specifically talking about feelings that's associated with like emotions or views, etc., not feelings like pain and things like that, right? But those feelings arise when our mind or one of the 5 other senses come in contact with something, right? And that contact gives a rise to feeling, right? And that feeling is what creates our future perceptions, our future thoughts about things, right? When we're constantly overindulged in even pleasurable feelings, we create the view that, wow, this feels so good. I want to always feel good like this. But the reality is you won't always feel like that. There won't always be situations in where you can feel that way. So because of your attachment to this view, because of your seeking and yearning to always feel pleasure, right? And sensual goodness, you'll experience pain. You'll experience suffering. So that's my only gripe would be that, right? But they all are great practices. I don't find it to be, there's nothing wrong with you wanting to seek, comfort and things like that. You don't want your mind to be, it's the attachment of it. That's the issue that I'm mainly speaking on. Okay. So I just want that to be very, very clear. So this is the purpose of our teachings. This is the purpose of what we do. Our goal is to attain awakening, right, through the seclusion of pleasure and sensuality in general, not just pleasure, but also displeasure. Excuse me. This is a great way to explain. So the Buddha, if you want to take this metaphorically, it's fine. Excuse me, we take it literal. So the Buddha, seeing a hellish realm and seeing a heavenly realm, he saw both realms, and he called both realms the 6 spheres of contact. Okay? In the realm of the hellish realm, he said that all beings in that realm, by nose, everything that was smell, that a person smelled, was not pleasing to the nose. Everything that they taste was not pleasing to the taste. Everything that they heard was not pleasing to the ears. Everything that they felt was not pleasing to the feeling. Even in the mind, not pleasing to the mind, right? And also to the sight. So the same for the heaven realm, right? In this realm, everything is pleasurable, So a person in the realm of suffering knows no pleasure, and a person in that realm of pleasure knows no pain. So a person that is overly indulged in these aspects, they can't attain awakening because they can't see the middle way or middle path. Okay. And that's a big issue. So this is why overcoming sensuality in general, not just the pleasure side, but also the pain side, is the key here, not just, one or the other. Right. But yes, I will go ahead and close out. I saw one of the messages or whatnot. I don't want to take up too much time. I definitely could get carried away. So thank you for reminding me, whoever that was that just typed. If anyone have any questions, I'm definitely open for it. If you want to hear, if you have any questions, just let me know.
Thank you so much, brother. We have about time for maybe 1 or 2 questions, and then we will close out. Does anyone have any questions? Please feel free to place in the chat or unmute yourselves.
Okay. There we go. Now I can hear you. Cool.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Okay.
You see that?
Yes, I see it.
Okay.
Hey, brother. Okay. How does the 5 remembrances? I'm not quite familiar with that. 5 remembrances. I'm not quite, to be honest, familiar with it. If you would give me like a brief description on it, I would, probably be able to answer your question, but I'm not quite familiar with the 5 remembrances. What books would you recommend for learning more? So the books I recommend are what the Buddha taught and in the Buddha's words. I would have to get I could send the author. I would have to get the author. Maybe you can private message me or something like that. I don't have it at hand, but those are really great books to start out with. It's what I started out with in my journey. I would focus on pre-sectarian, aka early Buddhism, because it's the original Buddhism. Buddhism, when it went to different countries, it kind of got diluted because of other cultures. So I would focus on early Buddhism if you want to get the real, raw, authentic like teachings of the Buddha. You want to get that. I would focus more on early Buddhism, because I practice early Buddhism in particular. Nothing better than the original. Oh, but shout outs to all the other sects. They also are really great too. I love Tibetan sect. I love the Mahayana sect, period. They're all great. Zen sect is great. They're all great. They're all cool. You can learn a lot from them. Let's see. What other, I don't know how you get to the whole question part. Hold on, let me see something. Oh, the chat, there you go. It says, thank you. What the Buddha taught in the Buddha's words. Yes, definitely. Yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yep. So those are the two books.
Question.
Sure.
So when it comes to like stealing, when it comes to harming, when it comes to things like that, like the stuff that you're not supposed to do,
Sure.
how can one, because I'm not out here slapping people in the face, I'm not out here cursing people out or nothing like that. So like how does one like avoid stealing? Like what else can you steal? What else can you harm? What
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. A person wouldn't replace it with anything like another kind of stealing or another kind of harming. They would just simply not do it. And the way that you would do that is by first learning the view, right view. Right view is a great way to start. Learning about karma, learning about the results of your actions, understanding the repercussions of those things. Those things will cause and incline, hopefully, a person to not steal. I mean, look at the famous killer Angulimala, right? One of the greatest monks. He was an arahant, but before he became an arahant, a monk, he killed over 1,000 people. He killed a lot of people. He was a mass murderer, right? But even he turned his life around. He became an arahant under Buddha. Buddha taught him, and he became an arahant. So it's about learning the right view, and it's about being consistent with your practice. Wrong deeds come from an uneasy mind. When the mind is at ease and concentrated, focused, it feels good, you do good things. When the mind is wrong and bad, when it feels bad and disturbed, you do bad things. So it's about learning about the consequences, and it's about calming and easing the mind. That's the only cure to that. It's not, you don't replace it with stealing something else. You don't replace it with harming something else, etc. Okay?
Thank you.
Question, brother.
Yes, peace.
You, brother. I had a question. Have
Yes.
you done any comparative study between Buddhism and the ancient Kemetic philosophies or religion, or comparative study between the impacts of, say, the law of Ma'at or the 14 principles or admonitions versus the teachings of the Buddha, where they compare, where they agree, where they disagree? Or have you seen any works of this nature?
Yes, I have. Yes, I definitely have. Once again, I started out in my practice of African spirituality, Pan-Africanism in general. I've been doing that for years. My family, they're big into that. My uncle, my father. I did read 3 volumes of the Medu Neter. I did read a big chunk of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. I have that over there, which is the part in Meru. The Kabbalion and many other different books, right? I did do a comparative analysis. Yes, indeed, I did. I compared them. I saw the similarities. I also saw the differences. I saw the views and how they differed as well. So yes, I did. To answer your question, yes, I definitely did.
How does Buddhism, from your learned perspective, situate or teach us to posit our identity as a conscious being versus or in relationship to the animal, the human, like the vehicle that we live in, because it has like 550 million years of inbred conditioning that has to be.
Yes, indeed. The way our view concerning the body, very interesting view. We don't put heavy emphasis on the body, mostly because it's impermanent. We don't put heavy emphasis on anything really that's impermanent. We only focus on the deathless itself, right? We focus on the goal, the final goal, which is liberation, attainment of that. These bodies are results of many different factors. You can say karmic factors, environmental factors, phenomena, etc. Right? They call them the 5 causes, right? The 5 niyamas. In Buddhism, we call the 5 causes. The relation, what I would say mostly, we're looking to detach from the concept of the body in a sense, in terms of attaching to the ideals of it, attaching to our genetics and genes, like what we are, what we say we are, et cetera, et cetera. Those things don't really matter in the spiritual practice. The only thing that matters is that you cultivate and develop the mind. If you focus too much on the body isn't permanent. Having too much focus on the body and the race, and don't get it twisted, right? Before I even say what I'm about to say, my goal is to absolutely deliver the message of the Dhamma to our people, right? That is my goal. That's my life goal. That's my life purpose. That's what I'm here to do. Okay, I'm born to do that. So that's what it is. So I'm not disregarding, that, but I'm just letting you know that in our practice, we have no heavy emphasis on the body. The body is just simply a vehicle. The human body is a vehicle, the best vehicle, most conducive to meditative practice. We are right in the middle between the animal and the God. We are the middle way between those two things. Okay, so our practice, gods have a hard time reaching awakening. Animals have a hard time, and beings lower than them also have a hard time reaching awakening. Gods are experiencing extreme levels of bliss and pleasure at all times, all the time. Their mind is completely like aesthetic all the time. Animals and beings under that, they're experiencing pain, misery, grief, etc., etc. Animals, of course, way worse than humans, but they also can experience pleasure as well. But the main general point is that they experience suffering on a level where they can't concentrate. They don't have the body to practice meditation. So humans, the greatest part about our body is that it is a body that can meditate. The advantage of the melanated body is that it is a body that's conducive to the environment. It can survive the environment to meditate. We have better chances in survival, so we can meditate. We have longer time on the earth to practice meditation. That is the only significance that is placed on the body, from my perspective and what I practice. Okay.
In my consciousness, am I situating myself in my identity as a god or as a human?
Yeah, as a human. If you were like a god or dewa, right? We call it dewas. If you want to call it a god, it's fine too. It's whatever. If you were like those beings, you would definitely not be here, to be honest. And your abilities, your appearance, things would be different. You would have a whole different level of psychic range and ability. Like on a whole nother level. Your intellect would be on a whole nother level. So we are just humans. There is an evolutionary standpoint that's spoken about in Buddhism. I will give you the name of it right fast, so that way you can go check it out, on yourself. But it's called the Aganya Sutta. If you want to look at where we come from, etc., or the idea of it in Buddhism from the Buddhist perspective, it's called the Aganya Sutta. Just really briefly, yes, the Aganya Sutta is said that we did evolve from godlike states. Yes, as they begin to eat and do certain things on the earth and indulge in sensual pleasures of the earth, they begin to change. Their form started to change. They lost their luminous glow. They started looking different. They started practicing sex, etc. Because gods are mind born. They're not physical. They're not born through seed and egg. They're mind born. So yeah, they're not like humans at all, but they evolved to be like what we are. So if you want to say we're gods in that sense, you can, I guess. But that would be like saying, I put a Kool-Aid packet in water, so I guess that's still water. You wouldn't say that. You would say, nah, it's Kool-Aid. You know, it's no longer water. The properties completely changed from water now. It's not the same. So, you know, if you want to, you know, that's definitely fine. You know, if you still want to call yourself a god, that's totally fine. I personally, I don't recommend those kind of terminologies and things, because it creates, for some people, for many people, it can create a very, very heightened egotism that I've noticed, you know, a lot, you know, and it's a very big issue with that, you know, because that's definitely counterproductive, very counterproductive to your practice, you know, if you have any. All right.
Surely, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, indeed. Lovely.
Harmony. Oh yes, I love that word.
Me too.
I would suggest, first off, I'm going to send everyone the recording of this, and I would suggest reaching out to Adisa personally. But I believe it would be the first precepts. But I would definitely ask him personally, because I want to be respectful as possible of everyone's time. So we will close out with, oh, my mother-in-law's here now. So we will close out with, sorry, y'all, with the Om Shanti Shanti. Okay, so we're basically affirming peace by doing this. And sorry about that, B. Boy. Yeah, classy boy. Okay, so if anybody wants to come off mute and join, we're just saying Om and then Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Okay, we're just affirming peace by doing this. So you can inhale. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste, and thank you everyone for joining in our first Sangha. I will see you all next month.
All right. Great.
All right now.
May all be blessed and well. Thank you very much for having me, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Adisa. That was great.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Fantastic.